All right, guys, we are back out here. We are at Beverly Country Club, a special place here in Chicago. Many people know this place, and not just Chicago, around the world. We're here with Director of Instruction here at Beverly, Billy Fitzgerald. Billy, thanks for having us out.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
We're going to talk about a topic here in golf that I get asked a lot. I'm sure you get asked a lot, and I know a lot of people struggle with this. That's actually length of backswing.
Sure.
Okay, so we typically see people getting pretty long with the backswing. Not that that's necessarily bad, but if you're doing it the wrong way and you're just wasting a lot of energy, you're wasting a lot of motion, and it's just a lot of effort for no reason. So can you talk a little bit about what you see when we talk about length of backswing? How do people are determining what the best length of backswing is for them, I guess we should say?
Yeah, and I think the first thing that comes to mind, Scott, is that the length of backswing, for a lot of people, they're associating that with length of golf ball. How far they can hit it.
Right.
And so they're trying to get this really, really wound up swing. Mm-hmm. And usually they're getting out of sequence. And our job is to make sure that we don't need that. It's like you said, it's some wasted energy up top.
Right.
The second thing is I think that as long as you get turned behind the golf ball, and what I mean by that is that if I set up to the ball here, as long as I get turned enough behind the ball so my arms get out of the way, so my arms have room to swing back down into the ball on the right path.
Yeah.
Length of backswing is really not an issue,
right,
as far as how far you hit it.
Yeah, and you said that it's how far you hit it. It's more of what you put into the ball. Yeah.
Yes,
and we've talked in a previous video about compressing it.
Correct.
It's about what you can put into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what do you typically see, I guess, from somebody that comes in and says, hey, my backswing's too long, or I think it's too long, or it actually is too long. You say, hey, yeah, we got to shorten that up. What are you typically seeing, and why is that causing them a problem? Right.
So first thing I would look at is, are they getting turned correctly or in the right way? A lot of times what I see is that when they get a little long with that, Scott, is that their angles in their hips and shoulders can get really out of whack, and now we've got a big problem as far as trying to get back to the ball.
Yeah.
And so, kind of diving into a little bit off topic, but it's the same topic, is that when I swing, I need my hips and shoulders to turn 90 degrees around my spine.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem with that is that when we tilt over in golf, we're seeing a different picture than when we walk around all day. So when we walk around like this, all I see is the horizon this way, and that's as human beings, that's where we're trying to go. Mm-hmm. So when I get into a posture this way, I've got to make sure that my hips and shoulders work 90 degrees around my spine, and then again 90 degrees around my spine. All that is pretty much flat in terms of golf swing.
Right.
When my arms get really too long, what tends to happen is I start to stand up. All of a sudden I get out of my posture, I get out of my tilts, and then it makes it very hard for me to find the ball. And when I do, all my power's gone.
Right.
So I'm searching for the ball now.
Yeah, you just stood up there, and now all of a sudden your eyes have moved. You're no longer looking at the ball. I think, and that's where I think a lot of people, like this old adage in golf, keep your head down, right?
Yeah.
And we probably know that that's not the best advice to have for most golfers, is to like lock that head in and keep it there and not move it or anything. The big issue is you're actually moving your body. Your body needs to be turning on the angle that you started at.
Correct.
Is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And so when you swing and we're trying to get all this power from all this length of swing and all your arms, all of a sudden we get this very disconnected feeling, and we start standing up, and it really just becomes a mess. So when people come to me, if I can assure them that they're not going to hit it any farther with all this arm swing and all this length of swing, and it could be a number of different reasons why they're doing that and why it's affecting their swing. But again, the major thing that we need to make sure of is that when you swing back, we get behind the ball, we've got these tilts, so basically you're staying in posture, you're keeping around, these are 90 degrees to your spine angle, but I don't need all that length of swing.
Yeah, and so like you said there, I think people that are looking at this and they're coming and doing it, they see, long drives more popular, right?
Right.
You see some of those guys, and they got massively long swings. Some of the guys on tour, I'm thinking Dustin Johnson, some guys like that, right? They have massive swings, but they have massive turns.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's the key. Long drive guys also have super long golf clubs.
Yeah.
All of that plays into it too, but they're able to make that big swing, that bigger backswing, by keeping all of their angles correct still, so they can hit it. And that's the key. We don't want to waste that energy.
Right, right.
Okay, so you said, all right, I can assure them they're not going to lose distance by, hey, we're going to shorten up this swing. Okay, so what is that going to look like? How are you going to get somebody to believe that? I think that's a hard part for people is like, wait, I'm going to swing this small and I'm going to hit it farther? That's usually the big question, right?
Yeah, so, what I would say is that with that, we got to make sure, again, that a lot of times if their swing's too long and their arms are going up, or they're losing those tilts, is that you get back to the golf ball, and again that we just previously went over, is that you're losing the compression of the ball, because now you're fighting all these angles that are getting messed up and your swing's too long, and it's hard to get back into a good impact position.
Yeah, and so show us that good impact. We did that in a previous video. So it's all right, hey, what does impact look like? Right arm's bent here, left arm straight, that happens. Let's go ahead now. Let's make start from the address. Go ahead, let's make that long backswing.
Right, so if I get here, I get really long here.
And then this arm is actually like over bending.
Right.
And then this wrist is actually cupping, right?
Yep.
Which is opening the face.
Yep,
so
exactly.
all those things that we just talked about of like, hey, this is not going to help you compress the golf ball.
Right.
That's going to be a problem, because when you get that arm up there like that, it's got to go this way.
Yeah.
You're stuck. You got nowhere to go.
We have just completely complicated that swing.
Right.
Because of how many things that I have to do now to get this face on the ball.
Right.
I'm going to need that amount of time.
Right.
With the length of that backswing.
And that's where I always find when we're shortening it up, people do it and they're like, man, this feels so easy. And then we'll have a target or something like, hey, this target is this far away.
Right.
And it's like, well, you're sealing it over it now. Like, and it's less effort, but I'm hitting it farther. It's like, sweet.
Right.
We love that. So, okay, so we got to get it with some tilts. Okay.
Right. Yep.
So if you're going to have somebody, what's a drill that you would give somebody, I guess, hey, we're going to take a short swing. Let's show you how you can hit the ball harder from, let's say a shorter backswing position, or show you that you don't need to do all of this stuff,
right.
I guess.
So what I would have him do is the step-in drill.
Okay.
Scott, so and again, we didn't touch on it, but when I think of long swings, without shortening, we still need that turn.
Right.
So
we got to be careful, right?
Yeah. So we want to preserve the turn, but as soon as you get turned behind the ball, we're going to start going towards the target. We're going to start going left again. So it's transition is how you shorten a swing.
There we go. Okay.
And so that's what I would have them do, is do the step-in drill.
Okay.
So for people that have long swings, they're very late up top or in transition, what I would say. So here's what happens. If they're late underneath and they're long up top, that is a very good combination for an over-the-top swing. That's almost the only thing that they can do. Mm-hmm. So if they set up, and they get very long up here, their first move down is here. Because again, this is late. This transition is late.
They have not shifted. They're on their back foot. They have not moved to the front foot.
So transition, simply put, is just when I change directions underneath with my feet. Mm-hmm. So again, when I transition, when we start swinging, it typically happens well before my arms are even up to the transition or up to the top of the swing.
Right.
I start transitioning. So if I've got someone that's very long, if I want to shorten the swing, I have them go left a little sooner.
Gotcha.
And so what we do is do the step-in drill. So the step-in drill is that you set up, and then what I would do is put your foot back, your left foot back over to your right. As soon as this club starts moving, you step and swing. So the only thing that you're trying to do is when I get my feet together here, I start going. I got to make sure that I get behind the golf ball, but I step and then just let it go.
And that works because when you do that and you start stepping and moving that way, you kind of like stretch out this left side, your lead side, and it's basically limiting where you can go.
Yep,
right?
Exactly. So we'll hit one here. So we'll get ready to go here. Scott, so stepping is back here. Now, as soon as I get the club moving, I hit it.
That's a nice draw.
And so what that does for me, not only does it, shorten my swing, but as I step and move, it allows my arms to come down from the inside.
And again, another thing we talked about in a previous video was hips moving forward, not towards the ball.
Correct.
Right? And so you're getting that motion as you go.
Yep, exactly.
It keeps it pretty athletic too, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do is feel like your lower body is, not happening, or it's not available to the swing at all. And that's what happens when you get this big long swing.
Yeah.
You get way too top heavy. You swing too much from the top.
Now, is there ever a moment where, hey, somebody actually steps or transitions too early? Is that ever?
Here's what I would say. I don't think you can get left too early.
Okay.
The only way I would say you get left too early is if you don't make enough turn and get behind the ball, and then your arms don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
But you're seeing more and more of that, where even with the long drive guys, and even some of the guys out on tour, where they have this kind of trigger, where they actually kind of start left, they go left to go right.
Yeah.
They go left to go right, and now all of a sudden they're turned and they go left again.
The obvious one would be Kyle Berkshire, one of the top guys. Yeah, he does the actual heel lift, right? He actually lifts his foot to start it off and starts moving them back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be another thing that you could do. Once you get that rhythm in the step drill, you could start to feel. You could even put the club over to the left here, Scott, and feel how it's. I go left to go right to go left, and that would kind of morph you into a closer version of the real swing that you want.
Yeah. Which, I think we've seen some guys do that, more in practice, but we have seen some versions, I feel like, of that throughout golf, of people doing that, and that's always a good thing. It's finding some rhythm and trying to put all of this into a motion that's going to just kind of feel like we're playing a sport.
Yeah,
as not
golf
playing
is a
golf
very
swing.
athletic motion.
Right.
And the last thing we want to do is be too stagnant.
So as you're doing this, are you having people try to determine, hey, as long as you can maintain your tilts, as long as you're transitioning properly, are you having them try to put as much force into it as you can?
Yeah.
Try to hit as far as you can, but you got to maintain all that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And you'll start to see that as you work with someone, as they add speed. Where do they start to break down?
Right.
And that's where you got to maybe back them down a little bit, and then say maybe we're not ready for that much speed.
Yeah.
Because again, we've got to get the compression on the back of the golf ball. But if that is all torn apart, then it's no good.
You go as far as you can until it breaks down.
Yeah, right.
That's what you're looking for. And you're trying to find that point. So it's not always go crazy, 100,000%. It's, hey, we got to max out where we can still put the proper motion on the ball to hit it.
Yeah, where this technique and these things that are really important to get the golf ball in front of us, they don't crumble.
Okay.